Good morning. I recognize that guy. I recognize that guitar.
Andy, this thing,
That's kind of a fun thing, isn't it?
it's pretty awesome. It was really fun taking it to the staff and getting their first impressions. Yeah, this is not typical. I have to tell you, we saw a lot of Taylors and
Right.
a lot of other. It's such a welcome shock, kind of like, what is this? I mean, the headstock and how you kind of set it apart as its own thing, and I really love this one. It's almost a western feel, the way the Honduran rosewood just in its natural state with the inlay on the pick guard. But I think the
Everybody's
biggest
got a
thing
little bit of cowboy in them.
when I put it in
Just a little
everybody's
bit.
hands and they played it for the
It's I,
first
I
time,
like it.
instantly there's two comments. One, how crystal clear and beautiful the highs were, and two, the comment, that's a mid-range I've never heard before from a Taylor. What do you think of those comments?
It's right on point.
Okay.
It's so interesting to see how the sound of this hits people because it is radically different than what you've heard out of a Taylor guitar. Because there's some different design elements in there to go, this is a different type of voicing. And so that mid-range, there's a warmth on the low end that feels big, right? It feels big and powerful, but it carries over into the mid-range all throughout kind of the high traffic area on the
Yeah.
guitar fretboard that feels like you're never retreating from that power. And it's got like this warm kind of presence everywhere that's a real interesting characteristic for a guitar.
Yeah. It's definitely, it almost feels like the neck you know and love
Right?
on a totally different platform that you just, yeah, it's hard to quantify without actually hearing it for the first time. I'm gonna make an adjustment here. There, now you can see the guitar better. And the sunburst and the just the way all the design
Looks
elements
like we
come
got stuck.
together. I mean, this is obviously a launch of a new collection of guitars, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I like to think of it as a collection to go, well, we have Builder's Edition collection. Ultra high fidelity, ultra modern, very linear, very precise. That's all wonderful. And in counterpoint, you got this thing. You got this gold label collection to go, well, wow, this is also great sounding guitar. It plays good, sounds good, feels good, has a cohesive look. And you know what? They're not the same. And that's okay. That's really okay. In fact, I think it's wonderful. I think it's okay for there to be different kinds of sounds and looks and feels. Because if you're the sort of player that wants to pick this thing up and go, have it be a real gratifying, like almost comforting experience, yeah, that's a good guitar for you to pick up.
yeah, one of the things just in my own experience, I had a lot of the guys play it who play a variety of different types of guitars. We have Gibson fans and Martin fans and Taylor
Yeah.
fans, or people who that's their personal guitar, I should say, right? We love all the guitars, but they had their own impression. But when I picked it up and I started just strumming it, like I picked it up as like this. This looks like a guitar that wants you to tell a story along with it, when you're sitting there strumming.
Yeah, totally.
And
Totally.
so I was like playing Old Man, and I was playing Wish You Were Here, and playing some Mumford and Sons, and then I just found myself like hanging out on the E, just hanging out,
Yeah.
and then doing some stuff because I guess my first impression by the look, right? You think, is that a jumbo? But when you play it, fundamentally, you don't get this overly rosewood bassy sound that sometimes can be a little bit muddy in the mix. You get a fidelity where you're hearing all the notes and it makes you strum differently and play some of the notes accented differently. That was really cool to experience.
It is. I've heard a couple of players describe it as a low end that's rich that never gets in the way.
Yep.
Because what's happening is the notes on this guitar start to blend together more. So when you strum a chord, you start to hear more of the chord, more of the harmony, and less of the separation between the notes. Yet they're all there.
Yeah, and some are way more there than any other guitar we have in the building. My luthier, who has years, Scott Pack, he's phenomenal. And he would tell you he's terrible. He's one of those chronically humble guys.
Yeah.
Just awesome dude. And he picked it up
Yeah.
and started playing it. And he does a lot of, he used to be just a phenomenal chicken picker, just kind of the idea of his style. He
Uh,
starts playing it up the neck. And there almost was not words to describe what he was trying to convey. And he was just like, it's so crystal clear in the highs. This is unbelievable. So it's interesting listening to the voicings that he was gravitated to. Um, so it's exciting to see this because I always remember when I bought my first Taylor, my GS, and it was a new thing back then. This
right.
was '06. Nobody was kind of doing that. And I bought it because when I played things on it, I played things that I'd never thought to play before. And that's what this guitar will be for a lot of players who pick it up. They're going to pick it up and they're going to hear things that they've never heard out of themselves, which to me, that is the sign of a successful guitar.
Right. My measurement is if you enjoy playing the guitar, that's a good instrument.
Yep.
I mean, that's fundamentally, we all want to go outside and play. We want to go have fun with this thing. And so if we can put some creative inspiration into the guitar, go, man, I'm hearing something that I've only heard that kind of like that thick, rich clarity on the top end. Like I've only ever heard that on an old guitar, but now I hear it and it's in tune. There's something here that just feels like magic. It makes me want to do all kinds of interesting things. I agree. That's a measure of merit. That's what you should go for. Go, well, this feels inspiring to me. It makes me want to play the guitar. That's what this is about. It makes me want to play in a new way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really exciting to have that especially when you're so familiar with a brand, you kind of always know what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like eating at a great Michelin star restaurant and you sit down and you don't know what you're going to get and it looks different than you've ever had. And then you put it in your mouth and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
But then forever, your own cooking is redefined.
Yeah.
It's
I
kind
mean,
of like,
I don't have that problem as much. Most of my experience with Michelin is more in the tires for the work truck kind of a thing. But yeah, I know what you mean, where you pick the thing up and go, wow, okay, this is, I could do something with this. I'm hearing something that I really like.
yeah.
This is a neat sensation.
So let's talk for a minute. Obviously it's new. One of the things that's the most new that struck me, and I was a bit surprised, and I'm imagining it's a sound thing, is this. So every other Taylor in the lineup has an ebony bridge. We've been telling people this story forever about how, and the bridge is ebony on every model, and it's just, it's been used
Yeah.
high degree of importance on that. So talk to me about this bridge. I'm guessing the Honduran rosewood bridge to match the Honduran rosewood back and sides.
It is.
And
It is.
does it? And so tell me about that change.
Okay, so one of the elements that makes this particular sound, this iteration, this voicing of E-class, borrows a couple of traits from actually a classical guitar. There's actually a little bit of a fan brace classical guitar influence here, kind of incorporated within the V-class architecture. That's part of what so dramatically changes this mid-range and low-end response. Well, one of the things that I wanted to incorporate in there was a more classical guitar-like usage of the material. So you see ebony for the peg head and fretboard, where I like the sound of it, I like the feel of it, I like the look of it, the durability and wearing aspect is great. But I wanted the damping factor of this ultra-dense piece of rosewood. It's not quite the same as ebony, and so it treats the end of the string a little bit differently. And so I wanted to include that as part of this voicing package for this guitar.
Okay.
So it's really a form following function kind of scenario. Built some that have an ebony bridge. That works really good too. Just for this particular presentation, seemed like the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. Wasn't used to seeing it, but I think even on a Tally or a Strat, how a rosewood, just a little bit of rosewood changes everything about the guitar.
It does. All those things matter. I mean, even the neck of the guitar does matter. You listen to a Tele, you listen to a Strat, and you listen to a maple fretboard version or a rosewood or an ebony or something else. You know what? That neck is like, you picture it in your mind like one leg of a tuning fork, right? That thing's out there with strings attached to the end of it, and it's vibrating all kinds of different ways. It has a torsional, like a twisting vibration pattern. It has an up and down kind of a, there's all kinds of motion in this thing. And so when you change that arm sticking out of a guitar, you're going to change what the string is doing. It'll have a different harmonic content, different overtone structure. It's a different kind of thing.
So, yeah, that's really neat. I imagine maybe there could be other versions of this guitar later where we'll see, right? Other wood combinations. There's a Koa one. There's a Koa one coming out too, right? Koa top.
Yes, right now we're going to launch this guitar, the new shape of guitar, new voicing of V-Class inside, and this new neck design. We're going to position this guitar, it's essentially one model, but available with two different back and side woods. Either this Honduran rosewood version or a Hawaiian Koa version with spruce top. Okay. And so those two versions, those are our initial kind of offering. Man, I love this package. I love how both of these sound. They'll be appointed similarly, either with a sunburst top, like the guitar you have here, or a natural top like the one I have. They'll both be labeled even the same as an 814 gold label collection guitar.
Okay.
So it's really you think of it like a wood swap. And in that guitar, you'll also see the Honduran rosewood bridge.
Okay. And then now is it standard Sitka spruce or is this a torrefied Sitka spruce?
This one's torrefied. It has been high temperature roasted. I like the dimensional stability. I like the color. It's kind of a neat thing to include in part of this guitar.
Yeah, that's exciting. I almost didn't ask the question because I was like, well, maybe somebody wants that, and then they're like, well, shoot, I love my torrefied top, so that's awesome. I took a gamble.
Well, some people are somewhat indifferent as to whether or not it has a roasted top. The reality is we've been, to different degrees, we've been roasting tops for our guitars for the last 20. Some of them as part of just a normal drying process. I want to set the pitch at a certain temperature, but not change the color. Others, you go a little further, so it's kind of something that we've done for quite some time. One of the other interesting things with this guitar is we're putting the internal architecture together with hot hide glue. So we're using a protein glue for that, because that's another it's an element that's appropriate for this recipe.
That element, and then of course the new neck design, right? It would almost be helpful for me, just kind of the way my mind works. I would love to see some type of a diagram of this new neck because it's so fascinating that you can adjust. It's a long neck tenon, right? Right.
So it has it's new for us. It becomes a fairly traditional design in that aspect where it has a long tenon that's been mortised into the body. And so that creates a little more dimension on the heel, becomes a little stiffer, and changes subtly how the neck is going to react. But then the ability to change it and change the string height just by turning a screw or the kind of adjuster hardware, well, that's a whole different game. Because now we've completely eliminated the desire or need for a neck reset as a service operation or a repair or something like that when you want to adjust how the guitar is working. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. Even with the current neck design, which is brilliant and, takes, 25 to 45 minutes depending on
depending on whether you're changing the strings or not.
Yeah, it takes a little bit, but it's way less time than a traditional neck reset. But I just think, man, I had an experience once. I tell everybody, you need to humidify your guitars, get these two-way humidifier packs. And then I went on vacation, and I'm staying by the ocean, and in one day my guitar was totally unplayable, and I couldn't do anything about it. Because I didn't follow my own advice. And like, how awesome. how awesome it would have been if I could just, let me just turn this screw, That's
Yeah. It's like, of course, we want people to watch the humidity and the temperature and go, man, the guitar is still going to react. But the reality is, yeah, you can adjust it to fit what needs to happen here. And so for best long-term stability and best long-term like health of the guitar, yeah, you'll watch your humidity, you'll watch the temperature, but you're going to adjust it to play exactly how you want it to play. And I can only think, well, that makes the guitar playing experience that much better. It's like to go, this, I don't like it today. Hang on, give me 20 seconds and now I'm good to go. Well, yeah, I love that idea. So it's a pretty exciting thing for us to see as guitar makers who go, wow, this feels like a big step forward for us.
And you mentioned that tendon is in the body more versus the old neck. You had two flat surfaces connecting, sandwiched into the body with these screws.
Right.
So with more vibration translated into the body, you have to imagine that the back and sides actually becomes more resonant along with this structure, would you think?
Yeah, it's fairly subtle because a classic, what we think of as the Taylor neck or an NT neck, the mounting surfaces actually have a huge amount of transfer and they are very stable. It's a really good thing. Works really well. This is a little different kind of motion. So when we're talking about the subtleties of a maple neck strat versus a rosewood neck strat, it's a little like that. We go, this neck having a little more depth on the heel dimension means that it resonates a little different and the sound transfer just happens a little differently. It allows you to do some other things on the voicing of this body and the bracing architecture to make good use of that. And so that's part of the contribution to this sound where through all the mid-range, there's this thick, rich sound.
Yeah. And
that's very unique to this guitar.
So torrefied top, Honduran bridge, new neck design, and then it's all translated through a totally different electronic system than we've ever seen, right?
Well,
let's talk about that decision.
For this guitar, well, let me say it this way. I love our ES2 pickup. It works very well for most players in most guitars in most situations. It's not all players and all guitars for every stage, but mostly this works really well. It's very high fidelity, very touch sensitive, very natural sounding. That's great. But looking at this guitar, kind of taking it in as an acoustic instrument first, I just didn't love the knobs. It doesn't fit the guitar. It doesn't seem like it's what people would want. It's not what I would want as a player when I look and feel play on this guitar. I don't know that it would match the way that many people would play on it. So for now, we elected to just use a simple undersaddle pickup that uses simple sound hole mounted controls, a standard M pin jack to go, hey, it's as if you bought an acoustic guitar and put a pickup in it aftermarket. So if you like a different pickup, fine, you could evaporate this one. There's no evidence that it was ever there. You swap it out for something different. Or maybe this is the sound that you like when you take it on stage. You go, yeah, this is how I want to use it. So it's working good. I think it was the right call for this particular design.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. This guitar, somewhat to me, I think of a lot of the Taylors, that come out, and their modern leaning, we'll say, in design, which has a place. And I take in this guitar just as a whole. And, it's going to be hard for, I think, watchers of this video or any video, unless you can pick it up and take it in as a whole, as an experience. And it's like you can pick it up and then you can play it and get an idea of it. But it's not until you have a guitar for a little bit that you pick it up and, man, look at that headstock is reminiscent of times gone by, like mandolins. And then, that pick guard, that really reminds me of a different time in guitar. And this, in fact, even, I don't know, we got really lucky. This piece of rosewood is unbelievable. But I just look at
We've had some really nice Hunter and rosewood. I mean, the Honduran rosewood will tend a little bit lighter than some other rosewoods, but man, it sounds so good. It's so dense.
Well,
It's
and on the,
got all of it going on.
yeah, well, and with this structure, this package of when you finally you're done playing it and you've had your experience, and then you're looking at all the things, even the go to tuners
Yep.
with the
With the ebony
ebony.
buttons, yeah.
I mean, just you
They
start
they
looking
feel
at
right.
it,
You know,
and
it feels to me like this is a guitar that knows its guitar history.
yeah, and
You
so
know,
yeah, I don't. So all that to say, I don't think I think not having buttons here on something so that pays homage so well to guitars gone by that it's just like, yes, this is its own thing. And even the case, the lighter brown case, very classic looking, it's just a phenomenal work of art on its own as it's launching. And so that's very exciting for me to just see something that's different yet so classic.
thank you. I appreciate that. These are exciting times for us as we look towards the future and go, man, okay, we've celebrated our 50th year. This is wonderful. When we look towards the future of what's year 51 and beyond hold, go, man, there's still so much good that we get to do. So I'm glad you guys enjoy it. Have fun with it. Keep playing it. Pass it around. I think these are going to be fun times. Special guitars for us to play.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think back to one of our first interviews. Right? Actually, it was face to face that we did, and you had mentioned after the 814 had came out initially, and you went back and you had done every bit of hot rodding you could maybe do to a guitar, and you walked into the shop and you're like, well, now what? And then we got the B class. So you changed everything, and then you kind of get done with that. And it's like, oh, well, there we go. Now it's on all the bodies. And then all of a sudden, it's like for a creator, for a builder to say, what else is in the tank and get this? I mean, I think that this can be a start of a whole new phase, right? A whole new project.
That's how I like to see it. That's how I like to see it. The process of
Congratulations.
building is what leads to the process of inventing. So every time you have something fun, you go, oh, that reminds me, there's more here to do.
Yeah.
So Marcus,
it's
enjoy
awesome.
it. We'll be in touch.
All
I hope
right.
you play some good songs on that guitar.
All right. We appreciate it,
Hey,
Andy. Well done.
yep.
Thanks for the
Thanks.
time. Cheers.